Vital records. This first video section will be on birth records. And the first video on birth records is to talk with others. This is my grandma Schwartz. She was born the 13th of May, 1906 in Grand Junction, Colorado. Grandma said that she never had a birth certificate and she didn't think her birth was ever officially recorded. She knew her birth because that is what her parents told her. So, is my grandmother's birth information an original source, or sometimes called a primary source? Or is it a derivative, or what might be called a secondary source? Let's look at what these mean. An original source is one that was created at or about the time a certain event happened, reported by a witness or participant in that event. In other words, the informant was in a position of first-hand knowledge. An original source is one that does not derive from a previously existing record. It happens that sometimes an original record, like a birth or baptism, was never created or has not survived destruction of some kind. This was taken from Family Search Wiki. A derivative source is any non-original source. We have to remember to distinguish between a source and the information within it. In general, a derivative is any source that is based on a previous source, even if the original source no longer exists. Examples are family stories, family histories, databases, indices, transcriptions, and abstracts. Someone repeated these verbal stories in the effort to duplicate them or compile in writing their version of a finding aid. Summary or history. The latter usually reflect conclusions reached by the compiler, which may or may not agree with your own examination of the same sources. But conclusions are broaching on the topics of information and evidence. Again, this came from Family Search Wiki. I want to tell you a little story about my mother. So many years ago, my mother decided she wanted a charm bracelet with the names and birth dates of each of her children. Not long after she had the bracelet made, she realized that one of my brother's birth dates was one day off. She said that after that, she had a hard time remembering which of the dates was correct. Though my mother would be considered an original source for her children's birth dates, we see that even original sources can be wrong. This was when my brother was about 10 years old, so time plays a factor. When talking with someone, recognize that time might make this source not as accurate as if it was recorded right after the event. Sources are valuable, but some sources are more accurate than others, and that's what we're trying to decide between original and derivative. Viola gave birth to Blanche, so she is an original source. Blanche was at the birth, but obviously does not remember it. Technically, she would be a secondary source of the information because she does not remember the event. But a person giving their own birth is generally considered a primary source. What do you think? Feel free to put your thoughts in the comments. Now back to talking or interviewing people. My grandmother came to visit many years ago, and I pulled out my old tape recorder and asked Grandma lots of questions about her life. She's the original source of the information she gave me of stories about her life that she remembers. For information she told me about her parents or grandparents that she had heard them tell, those are derivative or secondary sources because she is telling what she heard from others. Record the information you collect. This might be just writing down what the person tells you, but if possible, record their voice in an audio file. I will show you where you can upload or record information you collect from talking to your relatives. Okay, I want to show you what to do after you've talked to somebody if you want to preserve it in Family Search. So you've even interviewed a person and you can come here to the memories. And if you have taken some pictures of them or if they've told you about a picture, and explained the information on the picture. You can upload the picture, and for any documents that they might have given you, you can upload those documents here. If you've typed up like a history or biography on them, you would upload it here to documents with a PDF. And then here is where you could create the story. So maybe they've told you a story, or you can take one of the images that you've put and you can select the gallery and then tell the story of that picture. So with my grandmother, she did some crocheting, so let's look at this. This is a picture of the crocheting, and then I typed up a little bit about her making these crocheted ornaments for us children and the grandchildren at Christmas time. And then here is when I talked to my grandmother and tape recorded it on one of those old tape recorders. I had my daughter help me break it down into smaller parts, and then we've uploaded it. So if we go here.
Did she like a lot of games or puzzles or? Well, I think a lot. The other children were really good to her, and whenever they went to do anything, they always wanted to take her. And I always said, well, she's so much younger that...
Anyway, so that gives you an idea. Then you can play it, and that's my grandmother's voice, and it will always be there. And my children and future generations will be able to hear my grandmother talking to them. So I just hope that you will record information that you get from others, and record it and keep it either on your own, in your own way, but if you want to put it in Family Search, it's here, and it's just a wonderful resource. So I hope you will enjoy that and have fun interviewing other people. For birth information, think about who might know something about the birth of the person that you're trying to find out information on. You can talk to the individual themselves if they're still alive, or their parents, their siblings, aunts and uncles, cousins, neighbors, friends, whoever might have some idea about their birth or the time frame of their birth. Happy hunting!